What if I told you that by the year 2050, the world could be home to 10 billion people? That's nearly 3 billion more than today. Picture this: cities bursting at the seams, resources stretched to their limits, and a planet struggling to keep up with the demands of its inhabitants. Overpopulation isn't just a distant possibility, it's a reality we're hurtling toward, and its consequences could reshape life as we know it. From food shortages to overcrowded cities, the challenges are immense, but so are the opportunities for innovation and change. In this video, we'll explore what overpopulation means for our future, why it's one of the most pressing issues of our time, and how we can prepare for a world that's more crowded than ever. So let's dive in and uncover what the future might hold and what we can do to shape it for the better. Now turning to the current population trends, let's take a closer look at where we stand today and where we're headed. As of now, the global population stands at around 8 billion people, and it's growing at an unprecedented rate. Every year, we add approximately 80 million people to the planet. That's like adding the entire population of Germany in just 12 months. But this growth isn't evenly distributed. Some regions are expanding much faster than others. For instance, sub-Saharan Africa is experiencing the highest population growth rates, with countries like Nigeria projected to double their population by 2050. Meanwhile, regions like Europe and East Asia are seeing slower growth, with some countries even facing population decline due to aging populations and lower birth rates. What's driving this rapid growth? In many developing nations, factors like improved healthcare, declining infant mortality, and higher fertility rates are contributing to the surge. However, as these countries develop further, their growth rates are expected to slow down, following a pattern seen in more industrialized nations. By 2050, the global population is projected to reach nearly 10 billion, with most of this growth concentrated in urban areas. Cities will become even more crowded, and the demand for resources will skyrocket. Understanding these trends is crucial because they shape the challenges and opportunities we'll face in the coming decades. From managing megacities to ensuring sustainable resource use, the way we respond to these trends will determine the kind of future we create. Now turning to the concept of overpopulation, let's break down what it really means and why it matters. Overpopulation occurs when the number of people in a given area exceeds the capacity of the environment to support them at a decent standard of living. It's not just about having too many people, it's about the strain those people place on resources, infrastructure, and ecosystems. Think of it like a party where the guest list keeps growing, but the house, the food, and the space stay the same. At some point, things start to break down. A key idea here is carrying capacity, which refers to the maximum number of individuals an environment can sustainably support. For Earth, this means balancing the needs of the population with the availability of resources like water, food, and energy, as well as the planet's ability to absorb waste and pollution. Right now, we're already seeing signs that we're pushing past this limit in certain regions. For example, cities like Mumbai and Lagos are grappling with overcrowding, where millions of people live in cramped conditions with limited access to clean water, sanitation, and healthcare. These cities are microcosms of the challenges we could face on a global scale if population growth isn't managed effectively. Overpopulation doesn't just strain resources, it also impacts quality of life. In overcrowded areas, people often face longer commutes, higher living costs, and increased competition for jobs. Infrastructure like roads, schools, and hospitals can become overwhelmed, leading to inefficiencies and reduced access to essential services. And let's not forget the environmental toll. More people means more demand for land, which can lead to deforestation, habitat destruction, and loss of biodiversity. It's a domino effect that touches every aspect of life. Understanding overpopulation is crucial because it forces us to confront the reality of our planet's limits. While technology and innovation can help us stretch those limits, they can't eliminate them entirely. As we move forward, we'll need to find ways to balance population growth with sustainable resource use, ensuring that everyone has access to a decent quality of life without compromising the health of our planet. Now turning to the rise of megacities, let's explore how rapid urbanization is shaping the future and what it means for overpopulation. By the year 2050, more than 2/3 of the global population is expected to live in cities, with many of these urban centers growing into megacities, cities with populations exceeding 10 million people. Places like Tokyo, Mumbai, and Lagos are already leading the way, but their rapid growth comes with significant challenges. One of the most pressing issues in megacities is overcrowding. As more people flock to urban areas in search of better opportunities, housing becomes scarce and living conditions often deteriorate. In Mumbai, for example, millions of residents live in informal settlements or slums where access to clean water, sanitation, and healthcare is severely limited. This overcrowding not only strains infrastructure but also exacerbates social inequalities as the gap between the wealthy and the poor widens. Pollution is another major challenge in megacities. The concentration of people, vehicles, and industries in a small geographic area leads to high levels of air and water pollution. In cities like Lagos, traffic congestion is a daily reality, contributing to poor air quality and respiratory problems for residents. Meanwhile, waste management systems struggle to keep up with the sheer volume of garbage produced, leading to environmental degradation and health risks. Resource management is also a critical issue. Megacities require vast amounts of water, energy, and food to sustain their populations, but these resources are often in short supply. Tokyo, for instance, has implemented advanced water recycling systems to cope with its high demand, but many other cities lack the infrastructure or technology to do the same. As a result, water scarcity and energy shortages are becoming increasingly common, putting additional pressure on already strained systems. Despite these challenges, megacities also offer opportunities for innovation and sustainable development. Smart city technologies such as energy-efficient buildings, intelligent transportation systems, and data-driven resource management can help mitigate some of the problems associated with rapid urbanization. However, implementing these solutions requires significant investment and collaboration between governments, businesses, and communities. As we look to the future, the rise of megacities will undoubtedly play a central role in the overpopulation narrative. How we address the challenges of overcrowding, pollution, and resource management in these urban centers will determine whether they become hubs of sustainability or hotspots of crisis. The choices we make today will shape the cities of tomorrow and ultimately the quality of life for billions of people. Now turning to the strain overpopulation places on natural resources, let's explore how the growing demand for water, food, and energy is shaping the future. By the year 2050, with a global population nearing 10 billion, the pressure on these essential resources will reach unprecedented levels. Already, regions around the world are grappling with shortages, and the situation is only expected to worsen as populations continue to rise. Water scarcity is one of the most immediate and critical challenges. In many parts of the world, freshwater supplies are dwindling due to overuse, pollution, and climate change. For example, in the Middle East, countries like Jordan and Yemen are facing severe water shortages, with some cities relying on water deliveries by truck to meet basic needs. Similarly, in parts of India, groundwater levels are dropping rapidly as farmers and industries extract more water than can be naturally replenished. This scarcity not only threatens daily life, but also fuels tensions between communities and nations competing for limited resources. Food production is another area under immense strain. As the global population grows, so does the demand for food. However, agricultural systems are already struggling to keep up. In regions like sub-Saharan Africa, where population growth is among the fastest in the world, food insecurity is a daily reality for millions. Droughts, soil degradation, and limited access to modern farming techniques have made it difficult to produce enough food to feed everyone. Even in more developed regions, the reliance on intensive farming practices has led to environmental damage, such as deforestation and loss of biodiversity, further complicating the challenge of feeding a growing population. Energy demand is also skyrocketing, driven by both population growth and increasing industrialization. In countries like China and India, where economies are expanding rapidly, the need for energy to power homes, businesses, and transportation is placing enormous pressure on existing energy systems. While renewable energy sources like solar and wind offer hope for a more sustainable future, the transition is slow, and many regions still rely heavily on fossil fuels. This not only contributes to climate change but also creates vulnerabilities, as energy shortages can disrupt economies and exacerbate social inequalities. The competition for these vital resources has the potential to spark conflicts, both within and between nations. In regions like the Nile Basin, disputes over water rights have already led to tensions between countries like Egypt, Sudan, and Ethiopia. Similarly, food shortages have been a contributing factor to social unrest and migration in places like Syria and Venezuela. As resources become scarcer, the risk of conflict over access and distribution will only increase, making it essential to find sustainable solutions. Despite these challenges, there are opportunities to address resource scarcity through innovation and cooperation. Technologies like desalination, precision agriculture, and renewable energy systems can help reduce the strain on natural resources. International agreements and collaborative efforts, such as the Paris Agreement on Climate Change, also provide a framework for addressing these issues on a global scale. However, success will require not only technological advancements but also changes in how we consume and manage resources. As we look to the future, the strain on water, food, and energy will remain a defining challenge of overpopulation. How we respond to this challenge will determine whether we can create a sustainable and equitable world for generations to come. The choices we make today, from investing in new technologies to adopting more sustainable lifestyles, will shape the future of resource management and ultimately the quality of life for billions of people. Now turning to the challenges of food production, let's dive into how overpopulation will reshape global food systems. Feeding 10 billion people by the year 2050 is no small task, and the strain on agriculture will be immense. Traditional farming methods, which have sustained humanity for centuries, are already reaching their limits. Soil degradation, water scarcity, and the loss of arable land are making it harder to grow enough food to meet current demands, let alone future ones. One of the biggest hurdles is the need to increase agricultural output without further damaging the environment. Intensive farming practices, while effective in boosting yields, often come at a high cost. Deforestation, excessive use of fertilizers, and over-reliance on pesticides have led to soil erosion, water pollution, and a decline in biodiversity. These practices are simply not sustainable in the long term, especially as the global population continues to grow. Innovation will play a crucial role in addressing these challenges. Vertical farming, for example, offers a promising solution by allowing crops to be grown in stacked layers, often in urban environments. This method uses significantly less water and land compared to traditional farming, and it can be done year-round regardless of weather conditions. Similarly, lab-grown meat is emerging as a potential game-changer. By producing meat in laboratories, we can reduce the environmental impact of livestock farming, which is a major contributor to greenhouse gas emissions and deforestation. However, these technologies are not without their challenges. Vertical farming requires significant energy inputs, particularly for lighting and climate control, which could offset some of its environmental benefits. Lab-grown meat, while promising, is still in its early stages and faces hurdles in terms of cost, scalability, and public acceptance. Overcoming these obstacles will require continued investment in research and development, as well as policies that support the adoption of sustainable farming practices. Another critical aspect of addressing food production challenges is improving access to modern farming techniques in developing regions. In many parts of sub-Saharan Africa and South Asia, smallholder farmers still rely on outdated methods that yield low productivity. Providing these farmers with access to better seeds, irrigation systems, and training can significantly boost food production and help alleviate hunger. At the same time, we must also rethink our diets and food consumption patterns. Reducing food waste, which accounts for nearly 1/3 of all food produced globally, is essential. Additionally, shifting toward plant-based diets can ease the pressure on agricultural systems, as growing crops for direct human consumption is far more efficient than using them to feed livestock. The challenge of feeding 10 billion people sustainably is daunting, but it is not insurmountable. By embracing innovation, improving agricultural practices, and making smarter food choices, we can create a food system that is both productive and sustainable. The decisions we make today will determine whether we can meet the needs of a growing population without compromising the health of our planet. As we move forward, the next section will explore another critical resource under pressure: water. The growing demand for clean water and the challenges of water scarcity will shape the future in profound ways, and finding solutions will be key to ensuring a sustainable future for all. Now turning to the water crisis, let's examine how the growing demand for clean water is shaping the future. Water scarcity is already a pressing issue in many parts of the world, and as the global population approaches 10 billion by the year 2050, the strain on this vital resource will only intensify. Clean water is essential not just for drinking, but also for agriculture, industry, and sanitation, making it a cornerstone of sustainable development. One of the most immediate challenges is the uneven distribution of water resources. While some regions have abundant freshwater supplies, others face chronic shortages. For example, countries in the Middle East and North Africa, such as Jordan and Yemen, are grappling with severe water scarcity due to arid climates and limited rainfall. Similarly, parts of India and South Africa have experienced devastating droughts in recent years, leaving millions without access to safe drinking water. These regions highlight the urgent need for solutions that can address both the quantity and quality of water available. Desalination is one promising technology that could help alleviate water shortages. By removing salt and impurities from seawater, desalination plants can provide a reliable source of clean water, particularly in coastal areas. Countries like Israel and Saudi Arabia have already embraced this technology, with Israel now meeting more than half of its domestic water needs through desalination. However, desalination is energy-intensive and expensive, which limits its feasibility in many developing regions. Water recycling and reuse offer another viable solution. Treating wastewater to make it safe for irrigation, industrial use, or even drinking can significantly reduce the demand for freshwater. Singapore, for instance, has become a global leader in water recycling, with its Any Water program supplying up to 40% of the nation's water needs. This approach not only conserves water, but also reduces pollution by preventing untreated wastewater from entering natural ecosystems. Conservation efforts are equally critical in addressing water scarcity. Simple measures like fixing leaky pipes, using water-efficient appliances, and adopting sustainable agricultural practices can make a significant difference. In California, for example, strict water conservation policies during recent droughts helped reduce water consumption by more than 20%. Public awareness campaigns and incentives for water-saving technologies can further encourage individuals and businesses to use water more responsibly. Despite these solutions, the water crisis remains a complex and multifaceted challenge. Climate change is exacerbating the problem by altering rainfall patterns, increasing the frequency of droughts, and accelerating the melting of glaciers that feed major rivers. In regions like the Himalayas, where millions depend on glacial meltwater, the long-term implications are particularly concerning. Addressing the water crisis will require a combination of technological innovation, policy reforms, and global cooperation. Investments in infrastructure such as dams, reservoirs, and pipelines can help manage water resources more effectively. At the same time, international agreements and partnerships are needed to ensure equitable access to water, especially in transboundary river basins where disputes over water rights are common. The stakes are high, but the solutions are within reach. By prioritizing water conservation, embracing new technologies, and fostering collaboration, we can ensure that clean water remains available for future generations. As we move forward, the next section will explore another critical aspect of overpopulation: the increasing demand for energy and the need for sustainable solutions to power our growing world. Now turning to the energy demand and sustainability, let's explore how the growing global population is driving an unprecedented need for energy. By the year 2050, with nearly 10 billion people on the planet, the demand for energy is expected to skyrocket. This surge will not only strain existing energy systems, but also intensify the environmental challenges we face today. Energy is the lifeblood of modern society, powering everything from homes and industries to transportation and communication networks. However, the majority of the world's energy still comes from fossil fuels like coal, oil, and natural gas, which contribute significantly to greenhouse gas emissions and climate change. As the population grows, so does the urgency to transition to cleaner, more sustainable energy sources. Renewable energy offers a promising solution to this challenge. Solar, wind, and hydropower are becoming increasingly viable alternatives to fossil fuels. Solar energy, for instance, has seen remarkable advancements in recent years, with the cost of solar panels dropping significantly and efficiency levels rising. Countries like Germany and China have made substantial investments in solar infrastructure, demonstrating that large-scale adoption is possible. Similarly, wind energy is gaining traction, particularly in regions with strong and consistent winds, such as the North Sea and the Great Plains of the United States. Hydropower remains one of the most reliable sources of renewable energy, providing a steady supply of electricity in countries with abundant water resources like Norway and Brazil. However, the construction of large dams can have significant environmental and social impacts, such as displacing communities and disrupting ecosystems. This highlights the need for careful planning and sustainable practices in the development of hydropower projects. Energy efficiency is another critical piece of the puzzle. By reducing the amount of energy required to perform everyday tasks, we can significantly lower overall demand. Simple measures like upgrading to energy-efficient appliances, improving insulation in buildings, and adopting smart grid technologies can make a substantial difference. For example, Japan has implemented some of the most stringent energy efficiency standards in the world, resulting in lower energy consumption per capita compared to many other developed nations. Technology also plays a pivotal role in meeting future energy needs. Innovations in battery storage, for instance, are addressing one of the biggest challenges of renewable energy: intermittency. Advanced batteries can store excess energy generated during sunny or windy periods and release it when needed, ensuring a stable and reliable power supply. Electric vehicles powered by these same batteries are also reducing our reliance on fossil fuels and cutting emissions from transportation. Despite these advancements, the transition to sustainable energy is not without its challenges. The initial costs of renewable energy infrastructure can be high, and many developing nations lack the financial resources to invest in these technologies. Additionally, the shift away from fossil fuels must be managed carefully to avoid economic disruptions, particularly in regions heavily dependent on oil and gas industries. Global cooperation is essential to overcoming these obstacles. International agreements like the Paris Agreement aim to unite countries in the fight against climate change by setting targets for reducing emissions and promoting renewable energy. Collaborative efforts such as technology transfer and financial assistance can help developing nations build sustainable energy systems without compromising their economic growth. The path to a sustainable energy future is complex, but it is also full of opportunity. By embracing renewable energy, improving energy efficiency, and leveraging technological innovations, we can meet the growing energy demands of a larger population while protecting the planet for future generations. As we move forward, the next section will delve into the intricate relationship between overpopulation and climate change, exploring how these two challenges are deeply interconnected. Now turning to the intricate relationship between overpopulation and climate change, it's clear that these two challenges are deeply intertwined. As the global population continues to grow, reaching nearly 10 billion by the year 2050, the strain on our planet's resources intensifies, accelerating the impacts of climate change. Population growth directly contributes to higher carbon emissions, as more people means increased energy consumption, transportation needs, and industrial activity. The burning of fossil fuels for electricity, heating, and transportation remains a major source of greenhouse gases, which trap heat in the atmosphere and drive global warming. For example, countries with rapidly growing populations, such as India and Nigeria, are experiencing a surge in energy demand, much of which is still met by coal and oil. This reliance on fossil fuels not only exacerbates climate change, but also creates a cycle of environmental degradation that becomes harder to break as populations expand. Deforestation is another critical issue linked to overpopulation. As more land is needed for housing, agriculture, and infrastructure, forests are cleared at an alarming rate. Forests act as the Earth's lungs, absorbing carbon dioxide and releasing oxygen, but their destruction releases stored carbon back into the atmosphere, further fueling climate change. The Amazon rainforest, often referred to as the planet's green lung, is a prime example. Large-scale deforestation for cattle ranching and soybean farming has not only reduced the forest's capacity to absorb carbon, but also disrupted local ecosystems and biodiversity. Pollution, too, is a byproduct of overpopulation. More people means more waste, from plastic packaging to industrial byproducts, much of which ends up in our oceans, rivers, and landfills. Air pollution caused by vehicle emissions, industrial processes, and the burning of waste contributes to respiratory diseases and further accelerates climate change. Cities like Delhi and Beijing, with their dense populations and rapid industrialization, frequently experience hazardous air quality levels, highlighting the urgent need for cleaner technologies and sustainable urban planning. Addressing these challenges requires global cooperation on an unprecedented scale. Climate change and overpopulation are not isolated issues. They are interconnected crises that demand collective action. International agreements such as the Paris Agreement provide a framework for countries to work together to reduce emissions and transition to sustainable practices. However, these efforts must be complemented by local initiatives that address the unique challenges faced by different regions. For instance, reforestation projects in Brazil, renewable energy investments in India, and waste management innovations in Southeast Asia are all critical steps toward mitigating the impacts of overpopulation and climate change. The need for global cooperation extends beyond governments to include businesses, communities, and individuals. Corporations must adopt sustainable practices, reducing their carbon footprints and investing in green technologies. Communities can embrace local solutions such as urban gardening and recycling programs to reduce waste and promote sustainability. On an individual level, choices like reducing meat consumption, using public transportation, and supporting eco-friendly policies can collectively make a significant impact. As we navigate the complexities of overpopulation and climate change, it's clear that the path forward is challenging but not insurmountable. By recognizing the interconnected nature of these issues and taking decisive action, we can create a more sustainable future for generations to come. Moving forward, the next section will explore how overpopulation is reshaping housing and infrastructure, examining the innovative solutions being developed to accommodate a growing global population. Now turning to the challenges of housing and infrastructure in an overpopulated world, it's evident that accommodating nearly 10 billion people by the year 2050 will require radical innovations and forward-thinking solutions. As urban areas swell and rural regions face increasing pressure, the demand for adequate housing, transportation, and public services is reaching unprecedented levels. Cities already struggling with overcrowding must find ways to expand sustainably without compromising the quality of life for their residents. One of the most pressing issues is the lack of affordable housing. In many rapidly growing cities, the gap between housing supply and demand has led to skyrocketing prices, forcing millions into informal settlements or slums. These areas often lack basic amenities like clean water, sanitation, and electricity, creating a cycle of poverty and inequality. For example, in cities like Mumbai and Lagos, informal settlements house a significant portion of the population, highlighting the urgent need for scalable and affordable housing solutions. To address this, modular housing has emerged as a promising innovation. Modular homes are prefabricated units that can be quickly assembled on site, offering a cost-effective and efficient way to provide housing for large populations. These structures are not only affordable but also customizable, allowing them to meet diverse needs and climates. Countries like Singapore and Sweden have already embraced modular housing, using it to rapidly expand urban areas while maintaining high standards of living. Another key solution lies in the development of smart cities. These urban centers leverage technology to optimize resource use, reduce waste, and improve the quality of life for residents. Smart cities integrate data-driven systems for transportation, energy, and waste management, creating more efficient and sustainable urban environments. For instance, Barcelona has implemented smart lighting systems that adjust based on pedestrian traffic, significantly reducing energy consumption. Similarly, Songdo in South Korea is a model smart city, featuring automated waste collection, energy-efficient buildings, and advanced public transportation networks. Sustainable urban planning is also critical to managing overpopulation. Cities must prioritize green spaces, efficient public transportation, and mixed-use developments to reduce sprawl and promote walkability. Copenhagen, for example, has invested heavily in cycling infrastructure, making it one of the most bike-friendly cities in the world. This not only reduces traffic congestion but also lowers carbon emissions, contributing to a healthier urban environment. However, implementing these solutions requires significant investment and political will. Governments, private companies, and communities must collaborate to fund and develop infrastructure projects that can support growing populations. Public-private partnerships, like those seen in the development of smart cities, can play a crucial role in bridging funding gaps and accelerating progress. As we look to the future, it's clear that housing and infrastructure will be central to addressing the challenges of overpopulation. By embracing innovative solutions and sustainable practices, we can create cities that are not only livable but also resilient in the face of rapid growth. Moving forward, the next section will explore how overpopulation is placing immense pressure on healthcare systems worldwide, examining the strategies needed to ensure access to quality care for all. Now turning to the immense pressure overpopulation places on healthcare systems worldwide, it's clear that providing quality care for nearly 10 billion people by the year 2050 will be one of the most daunting challenges of our time. As populations grow, so too does the demand for medical services, hospital beds, and healthcare professionals. Yet, many regions are already struggling to meet the needs of their current populations, raising concerns about how these systems will cope in the future. One of the most immediate challenges is access to healthcare. In overcrowded cities and rural areas alike, healthcare facilities are often overwhelmed, leading to long wait times, shortages of essential medicines, and limited availability of specialized care. For example, in countries like India and Nigeria, public hospitals frequently operate at full capacity, leaving many patients without timely treatment. This strain is exacerbated by the uneven distribution of healthcare resources, with rural and low-income areas often bearing the brunt of shortages. Pandemics and infectious diseases pose another significant threat in an overpopulated world. As we've seen with recent global health crises, densely populated areas can become hotspots for the rapid spread of disease. Overcrowded living conditions, inadequate sanitation, and limited access to healthcare create a perfect storm for outbreaks. Managing pandemics in such environments requires not only robust healthcare infrastructure, but also coordinated international efforts to ensure equitable access to vaccines and treatments. Mental health is another critical issue that will be magnified by overpopulation. In crowded societies, the stresses of urban living, such as noise pollution, lack of privacy, and long commutes, can take a toll on mental well-being. Additionally, economic pressures and social inequalities often contribute to higher rates of anxiety, depression, and other mental health conditions. Yet, mental health services are frequently underfunded and stigmatized, leaving many without the support they need. Addressing this growing crisis will require a shift in how societies prioritize and fund mental health care. To meet these challenges, healthcare systems must embrace innovation and adaptability. Telemedicine, for instance, has emerged as a powerful tool to expand access to care, particularly in remote or underserved areas. By leveraging digital platforms, patients can consult with doctors, receive diagnoses, and even access treatment plans without needing to travel long distances. Countries like South Africa and Brazil have already begun integrating telemedicine into their healthcare systems, demonstrating its potential to bridge gaps in care. Another promising solution is the use of artificial intelligence and data analytics to improve healthcare delivery. These technologies can help predict disease outbreaks, optimize hospital operations, and personalize treatment plans for patients. For example, in the United Kingdom, artificial intelligence is being used to analyze medical records and identify patients at risk of developing chronic conditions, enabling early intervention and better outcomes. Preventive care will also play a crucial role in alleviating the strain on healthcare systems. By focusing on education, vaccination programs, and lifestyle interventions, societies can reduce the burden of preventable diseases and promote overall health. For instance, Japan's emphasis on preventive care and healthy aging has contributed to its population's longevity and relatively low healthcare costs. However, addressing these challenges will require significant investment and global cooperation. Governments must prioritize healthcare funding, while international organizations and private sectors must collaborate to develop scalable solutions. Public awareness campaigns can also help reduce stigma around mental health and encourage healthier lifestyles. As we look ahead, it's clear that healthcare systems will need to evolve rapidly to meet the demands of an overpopulated world. By embracing innovation, prioritizing preventive care, and fostering global collaboration, we can build systems that are not only resilient but also equitable. Moving forward, the next section will explore how overpopulation is reshaping education systems and job markets, examining the strategies needed to prepare for a future with 10 billion people. Now turning to the impact of overpopulation on education systems and job markets, it's evident that preparing nearly 10 billion people for the workforce by the year 2050 will require transformative approaches. As populations grow, so does the demand for accessible, quality education and meaningful employment opportunities. Yet, many regions are already grappling with overcrowded classrooms, underfunded schools, and a mismatch between skills taught and those needed in the job market. One of the most pressing challenges is the scalability of education systems. In many developing countries, schools are already struggling to accommodate their current student populations, with classrooms often packed far beyond capacity. For instance, in countries like Kenya and Bangladesh, it's not uncommon to see classrooms with over 100 students and a single teacher. This overcrowding not only diminishes the quality of education, but also limits individual attention, making it harder for students to thrive. To address this, scalable solutions like online learning platforms and digital classrooms are becoming essential. These tools can help bridge the gap, providing access to education for students in remote or underserved areas. Skill development is another critical area that will need rethinking in an overpopulated world. As automation and artificial intelligence reshape industries, the skills required for future jobs are evolving rapidly. Traditional education systems, which often focus on rote learning and outdated curricula, may no longer suffice. Instead, there's a growing need for programs that emphasize critical thinking, creativity, and adaptability. Vocational training and lifelong learning initiatives will play a key role in equipping individuals with the skills needed to navigate a changing job market. For example, countries like Germany have successfully integrated apprenticeship programs into their education systems, ensuring that students gain practical skills alongside theoretical knowledge. The role of technology in creating new employment opportunities cannot be overstated. While automation may displace certain jobs, it also has the potential to generate entirely new industries and roles. Fields like renewable energy, biotechnology, and data science are expected to grow significantly, offering opportunities for those with the right skills. Governments and private sectors must collaborate to ensure that education systems are aligned with these emerging industries. For instance, initiatives like coding boot camps and online certification programs are helping individuals transition into tech-related careers even without traditional degrees. However, the challenge of unemployment and underemployment will persist, particularly in regions with rapidly growing populations. In many parts of Africa and South Asia, for example, young people make up a significant portion of the population, yet job opportunities remain scarce. This mismatch between population growth and economic development can lead to social unrest and economic instability. To mitigate this, governments must focus on creating enabling environments for entrepreneurship and small businesses, which can serve as engines of job creation. Global cooperation will also be essential in addressing these challenges. International organizations, governments, and private sectors must work together to share best practices, invest in education infrastructure, and promote policies that support equitable access to education and employment. For example, initiatives like the United Nations Sustainable Development Goals emphasize the importance of quality education and decent work for all, providing a framework for collective action. As we look to the future, it's clear that education and employment systems must adapt to the realities of an overpopulated world. By embracing technology, prioritizing skill development, and fostering global collaboration, we can create opportunities that empower individuals and drive sustainable growth. Moving forward, the next section will delve into the complex issue of migration and displacement, exploring how overpopulation may reshape global demographics and create new challenges for societies worldwide. Now turning to the complex issue of migration and displacement, it's clear that overpopulation will play a significant role in reshaping global demographics in the coming decades. As populations grow, especially in regions with limited resources and economic opportunities, the pressure to migrate in search of better living conditions will intensify. This movement of people, whether within countries or across borders, will present both challenges and opportunities for societies worldwide. One of the most immediate challenges will be managing refugee crises. Overpopulation, combined with factors like climate change, political instability, and resource scarcity, is likely to displace millions of people. For example, in regions like sub-Saharan Africa and South Asia, where population growth is highest, rising temperatures and water shortages could force entire communities to relocate. This has already been seen in places like Bangladesh, where rising sea levels are displacing coastal populations. Managing such large-scale displacement will require coordinated efforts from governments, international organizations, and local communities to provide shelter, healthcare, and basic necessities. Border control will also become a critical issue as migration increases. Countries with stable economies and abundant resources may face growing pressure to accept migrants, while simultaneously grappling with the need to secure their borders. Striking a balance between humanitarian obligations and national security will be a delicate task. For instance, the European Union has faced significant challenges in recent years as it attempts to manage the influx of migrants from conflict zones in the Middle East and North Africa. Policies that promote fair and efficient border management while respecting human rights will be essential in addressing these challenges. Integrating migrants into new societies is another key concern. Successful integration requires not only providing access to housing, education, and employment, but also fostering social cohesion. Migrants often face discrimination, language barriers, and cultural differences that can hinder their ability to thrive in new environments. Countries like Canada, which has implemented inclusive policies and programs to support newcomers, offer valuable lessons in how to create welcoming societies. By investing in integration initiatives, governments can help migrants contribute to their new communities, enriching societies both culturally and economically. Current migration trends provide a glimpse into what the future may hold. For example, the movement of people from rural areas to urban centers, known as internal migration, is already reshaping cities across the globe. In countries like India and Nigeria, rapid urbanization is leading to the growth of megacities, which must accommodate millions of new residents. At the same time, international migration is increasing, with people moving from developing to developed nations in search of better opportunities. These trends highlight the need for proactive planning and policies to manage the social, economic, and environmental impacts of migration. As we look ahead, it's clear that migration and displacement will be defining features of an overpopulated world. Addressing these challenges will require innovative solutions, global cooperation, and a commitment to upholding the dignity and rights of all individuals. Moving forward, the next section will explore how technology can offer solutions to some of the most pressing challenges posed by overpopulation, from resource management to urban planning. Now turning to the role of technology, it's clear that innovation will be a cornerstone in addressing the challenges of overpopulation. As the global population approaches 10 billion by 2050, the strain on resources, infrastructure, and ecosystems will demand creative and scalable solutions. Fortunately, advancements in artificial intelligence, automation, and biotechnology are already paving the way for a more sustainable future. One of the most promising areas is artificial intelligence, which has the potential to revolutionize resource management. AI-powered systems can analyze vast amounts of data to optimize water usage, energy consumption, and agricultural production. For example, smart irrigation systems equipped with AI can monitor soil conditions and weather patterns in real time, ensuring that crops receive the exact amount of water they need. This not only conserves water but also boosts agricultural efficiency, a critical factor in feeding a growing population. Similarly, AI can help cities manage traffic flow, reduce energy waste, and predict infrastructure needs, making urban centers more livable and sustainable. Automation is another game changer, particularly in industries like manufacturing, agriculture, and healthcare. In agriculture, automated machinery and drones can plant, monitor, and harvest crops with precision, reducing labor costs and increasing yield. This is especially important as the demand for food continues to rise. In healthcare, automation can streamline administrative tasks, allowing medical professionals to focus on patient care. Robotic surgeries and AI-assisted diagnostics are already improving outcomes and reducing costs, which will be essential as healthcare systems face increasing pressure from a growing population. Biotechnology also holds immense promise in addressing overpopulation challenges. Innovations in genetic engineering and synthetic biology could lead to breakthroughs in food production, such as drought-resistant crops and lab-grown meat. These advancements could help alleviate food shortages and reduce the environmental impact of traditional farming. Additionally, biotechnology is making strides in healthcare, with developments like personalized medicine and gene editing offering new ways to treat diseases and extend lifespans. These technologies could help manage the health needs of a larger population while improving overall quality of life. Urban planning is another area where technology can make a significant impact. Smart cities powered by the Internet of Things can integrate data from sensors and devices to optimize energy use, reduce waste, and improve public services. For instance, smart grids can balance energy supply and demand, while intelligent waste management systems can reduce pollution and improve recycling rates. These innovations will be crucial as more people move to cities, creating megacities that must function efficiently to support millions of residents. As we look to the future, it's clear that technology will play a vital role in mitigating the challenges of overpopulation. From optimizing resource use to improving healthcare and urban living, these innovations offer hope for a more sustainable and equitable world. Moving forward, the next section will explore the controversial but necessary topic of population control policies, examining how governments and societies can work together to manage growth responsibly. Now turning to the delicate yet critical topic of population control policies, it's important to address how societies and governments can responsibly manage population growth. As the global population continues to rise, the need for effective strategies to balance resources and quality of life becomes increasingly urgent. Family planning and birth control are central to this discussion, offering individuals the tools to make informed decisions about their reproductive health. These measures not only empower people but also contribute to stabilizing population growth in a sustainable way. One notable example of successful population control is China's one-child policy, implemented in the late 20th century. While controversial, the policy significantly slowed population growth and allowed the country to focus on economic development. However, it also brought challenges such as an aging population and gender imbalances, highlighting the complexities of such measures. In contrast, countries like Thailand have adopted more voluntary approaches, combining education, access to contraception, and public awareness campaigns to encourage smaller family sizes. These efforts have been widely praised for their effectiveness and respect for individual rights. Government policies play a crucial role in shaping population trends. Incentives such as tax breaks for smaller families, subsidized childcare, and access to education for women have proven effective in many regions. For instance, in countries like Iran and Bangladesh, improving women's access to education and healthcare has led to a natural decline in birth rates. These examples demonstrate that empowering individuals, particularly women, can have a profound impact on population growth without resorting to coercive measures. However, population control policies must also navigate cultural and ethical considerations. In some societies, discussions around family planning and birth control can be met with resistance due to religious or traditional beliefs. Addressing these challenges requires sensitivity and collaboration with local communities to ensure that policies are both effective and respectful of cultural values. The goal is to create a balance where population growth is managed responsibly while upholding human rights and dignity. As we consider the future, it's clear that population control policies will remain a vital tool in addressing overpopulation. By learning from past successes and challenges, governments and societies can develop strategies that are both effective and equitable. Moving forward, the next section will delve into the cultural and ethical dilemmas surrounding overpopulation, exploring how these factors shape the global conversation on population management. Now turning to the cultural and ethical considerations surrounding overpopulation, it's essential to recognize that this issue is not just about numbers, it's deeply intertwined with human values, rights, and beliefs. At the heart of the debate lies the question of reproductive rights. Who gets to decide how many children a person should have? Should it be the individual, the community, or the government? These questions touch on fundamental principles of autonomy and freedom, making population control a deeply personal and often contentious topic. Gender equality also plays a pivotal role in this discussion. In many parts of the world, women's access to education, healthcare, and economic opportunities directly influences family size. When women are empowered to make informed choices about their bodies and futures, birth rates often decline naturally. However, in societies where gender inequality persists, women may have limited control over their reproductive health, leading to higher birth rates and contributing to overpopulation. Addressing these disparities is not just a matter of fairness, it's a practical solution to managing population growth. The moral implications of population control policies further complicate the issue. For some, the idea of limiting family size may conflict with deeply held religious or cultural beliefs. In certain communities, large families are seen as a blessing or a sign of prosperity, making discussions about population control sensitive and challenging. Policymakers must navigate these cultural nuances carefully, ensuring that strategies respect diverse values while still addressing the urgent need for sustainable population management. Another ethical dilemma arises when considering the balance between individual rights and collective responsibility. While individuals have the right to make choices about their families, those choices can have far-reaching consequences for society as a whole. Overpopulation strains resources, exacerbates inequality, and impacts the environment, raising questions about the ethical obligations of individuals and governments alike. How do we reconcile personal freedoms with the need to protect the planet and ensure a high quality of life for future generations? As we explore these cultural and ethical dimensions, it's clear that there are no easy answers. The challenge lies in finding solutions that respect human rights, honor cultural diversity, and address the pressing realities of overpopulation. Moving forward, the next section will examine the economic implications of overpopulation, shedding light on how this global issue shapes economies and resource distribution worldwide. Now turning to the economic implications of overpopulation, it's important to understand how this global issue will shape economies and resource distribution in the coming decades. As the population continues to grow, reaching an estimated 10 billion by 2050, the strain on economic systems will become increasingly evident. One of the most pressing challenges is economic inequality. In overcrowded regions, the gap between the rich and the poor is likely to widen, as resources become scarcer and competition for jobs, housing, and basic necessities intensifies. This disparity can lead to social unrest as those who are left behind struggle to meet their needs while others thrive. Resource distribution is another critical issue. Overpopulation places immense pressure on the availability of essential resources like food, water, and energy. As demand outstrips supply, prices are likely to rise, making these resources less accessible to lower-income populations. This can create a vicious cycle where economic instability leads to further inequality, and inequality exacerbates instability. Governments and international organizations will face the difficult task of ensuring fair and efficient distribution of resources, while also addressing the root causes of overpopulation. The potential for economic instability in overcrowded regions cannot be ignored. As populations grow, so does the demand for infrastructure, healthcare, education, and employment opportunities. Meeting these demands requires significant investment, which may not always be feasible for developing nations. Inadequate infrastructure and public services can lead to overcrowded cities, poor living conditions, and a lack of economic opportunities, further fueling instability. Additionally, the strain on natural resources can lead to environmental degradation, which in turn impacts agriculture, industry, and overall economic productivity. Global economies will also need to adapt to the changing demographics of an overpopulated world. Aging populations in some regions, coupled with rapidly growing younger populations in others, will create unique challenges for labor markets and social systems. Countries with aging populations may face labor shortages and increased healthcare costs, while those with younger populations may struggle to provide enough jobs and education for their citizens. Balancing these demographic shifts will require innovative policies and international cooperation. As we consider the economic implications of overpopulation, it's clear that this issue is not just about numbers, it's about people, their livelihoods, and the systems that support them. Addressing these challenges will require a multifaceted approach that combines economic planning, resource management, and social policies aimed at reducing inequality and promoting sustainability. Moving forward, the next section will explore the environmental consequences of overpopulation, shedding light on how this global issue impacts ecosystems and biodiversity worldwide. Now turning to the environmental consequences of overpopulation, it's impossible to ignore the profound impact that a growing population has on our planet's ecosystems. As the global population approaches 10 billion by 2050, the demand for land, resources, and energy will place unprecedented pressure on the environment. One of the most visible effects is deforestation. To accommodate expanding cities, agriculture, and infrastructure, vast areas of forests are being cleared at an alarming rate. Forests, which are vital for absorbing carbon dioxide and maintaining biodiversity, are disappearing faster than they can regenerate. This not only contributes to climate change, but also disrupts the habitats of countless species, pushing many to the brink of extinction. The loss of biodiversity is another critical issue tied to overpopulation. As natural habitats are destroyed to make way for human development, countless plant and animal species are losing their homes. This loss of biodiversity weakens ecosystems, making them less resilient to environmental changes and more vulnerable to collapse. For example, the decline of pollinators like bees and butterflies threatens food production, as many crops rely on these species for pollination. The ripple effects of biodiversity loss are far-reaching, impacting everything from food security to the stability of entire ecosystems. Pollution is yet another consequence of overpopulation that cannot be overlooked. As more people consume resources and produce waste, pollution levels rise, contaminating air, water, and soil. Urban areas, in particular, face severe air pollution due to increased vehicle emissions, industrial activities, and energy consumption. Water pollution is also a growing concern as untreated sewage, agricultural runoff, and industrial waste find their way into rivers, lakes, and oceans. This not only harms aquatic life, but also jeopardizes the availability of clean drinking water for millions of people. Soil pollution caused by excessive use of pesticides and fertilizers degrades farmland, reducing its productivity and threatening food supplies. The need for conservation efforts and sustainable practices has never been more urgent. Protecting and restoring natural habitats, reducing waste, and transitioning to renewable energy sources are essential steps in mitigating the environmental damage caused by overpopulation. Governments, businesses, and individuals all have a role to play in promoting sustainability. For instance, reforestation projects can help restore lost forests, while sustainable farming practices can reduce the environmental impact of agriculture. Similarly, adopting cleaner technologies and reducing reliance on fossil fuels can help curb pollution and slow the pace of climate change. As we reflect on the environmental consequences of overpopulation, it's clear that the health of our planet is deeply intertwined with the choices we make today. Protecting ecosystems and biodiversity is not just about preserving nature, it's about ensuring a livable future for generations to come. Moving forward, the next section will delve into the social tensions and conflicts that arise in overcrowded societies, exploring how overpopulation can exacerbate inequality and instability. Now turning to the social tensions and conflicts that arise from overpopulation, it's important to understand how crowded societies can become breeding grounds for inequality and instability. As populations grow, competition for limited resources like jobs, housing, and education intensifies, often leaving the most vulnerable groups at a disadvantage. This widening gap between the rich and the poor can fuel resentment and social unrest, creating a volatile environment where tensions simmer just beneath the surface. In overcrowded cities, for example, the strain on infrastructure and public services can lead to frustration and dissatisfaction among residents. When basic needs like clean water, reliable transportation, and healthcare are not met, people are more likely to protest or engage in civil disobedience. These situations can escalate quickly, especially in areas where governments are unable or unwilling to address the root causes of these issues. The result is often a cycle of unrest where protests turn into riots, and riots can spiral into broader political instability. Crime rates also tend to rise in densely populated areas, as economic inequality and lack of opportunities push some individuals toward illegal activities. Overcrowded neighborhoods with high unemployment rates often see spikes in theft, violence, and other forms of crime. This not only makes life more dangerous for residents, but also places additional pressure on law enforcement and judicial systems, which may already be struggling to cope with the demands of a growing population. Political instability is another significant risk in overcrowded societies. When governments fail to manage population growth effectively, public trust erodes and dissatisfaction grows. This can lead to the rise of extremist groups or populist leaders who exploit these tensions for their own gain. In extreme cases, political instability can escalate into civil war or mass migration, as people flee conflict in search of safety and better opportunities elsewhere. The potential for conflict is further amplified by the unequal distribution of resources on a global scale. Wealthier nations often have the means to mitigate the effects of overpopulation, while poorer countries bear the brunt of its consequences. This imbalance can lead to international tensions as nations compete for access to resources like water, food, and energy. In some cases, this competition can even spark conflicts between countries, further destabilizing already fragile regions. As we explore the social tensions and conflicts tied to overpopulation, it's clear that addressing these challenges requires more than just managing population growth. It demands a commitment to reducing inequality, improving access to resources, and fostering cooperation both within and between nations. Moving forward, the next section will examine the role of global cooperation and governance in tackling the complex issue of overpopulation, highlighting the importance of collective action in shaping a sustainable future. Now turning to the critical role of global cooperation and governance in addressing overpopulation, it's clear that no single nation can tackle this challenge alone. Overpopulation is a global issue that transcends borders, and its solutions require collective action and shared responsibility. International organizations like the United Nations play a pivotal role in fostering collaboration among nations, creating frameworks for sustainable development, and addressing the root causes of population-related challenges. One of the key areas where global cooperation is essential is resource management. As populations grow, the demand for water, food, and energy increases, often leading to competition and conflict. Global treaties and agreements can help ensure that resources are distributed more equitably and sustainably. For example, international water sharing agreements between countries that share rivers or lakes can prevent disputes and promote cooperation. Similarly, global initiatives to reduce food waste and improve agricultural efficiency can help ensure that everyone has access to enough food, even as populations grow. Migration is another area where international cooperation is crucial. As overpopulation drives people to move in search of better opportunities, managing migration flows becomes a shared responsibility. Collaborative efforts can help create fair and humane migration policies, ensuring that migrants are treated with dignity and that host countries are supported in integrating newcomers. Organizations like the International Organization for Migration work to address the challenges of migration, providing assistance to both migrants and the countries that receive them. Global governance also plays a vital role in addressing the environmental impacts of overpopulation. Climate change, deforestation, and pollution are all exacerbated by population growth, and tackling these issues requires coordinated action. International agreements like the Paris Agreement on Climate Change bring countries together to set targets and share strategies for reducing carbon emissions and protecting the environment. By working together, nations can amplify their impact and create a more sustainable future for all. However, global cooperation is not without its challenges. Differences in political systems, economic priorities, and cultural values can make it difficult to reach consensus on complex issues. Wealthier nations often have more resources to invest in sustainability and population management, while poorer countries may struggle to implement effective policies. Bridging these gaps requires a commitment to fairness and solidarity, ensuring that all nations have a voice in shaping global solutions. As we look to the future, the importance of global cooperation and governance in addressing overpopulation cannot be overstated. By working together, nations can create policies and initiatives that promote sustainability, reduce inequality, and ensure a better quality of life for everyone. Moving forward, the next section will explore how specific countries like India and China are managing their population challenges, offering valuable lessons for the rest of the world. Now turning to the case studies of India and China, two of the world's most populous nations, we can gain valuable insights into how different approaches to managing overpopulation are playing out. Both countries face unique challenges due to their massive populations, but their strategies and outcomes offer important lessons for the rest of the world. India, with a population of over 1,300,000,000 people, is projected to surpass China as the most populous country by 2027. One of India's key challenges is balancing rapid population growth with limited resources. To address this, the government has implemented various family planning initiatives over the decades, including promoting the use of contraceptives and encouraging smaller families. However, these efforts have faced cultural and social resistance, particularly in rural areas where large families are traditionally valued. Despite these challenges, India has made progress in reducing its fertility rate, which has dropped significantly over the past few decades. This decline is partly due to improved access to education and healthcare, particularly for women, which has empowered them to make informed decisions about family size. China, on the other hand, has taken a more direct approach to population control. The country's one-child policy, introduced in the late 1970s, was one of the most controversial population control measures in history. While it succeeded in slowing population growth, it also led to unintended consequences, such as a gender imbalance and an aging population. In recent years, China has relaxed its policies, allowing families to have 2 children and, more recently, 3 children. Despite these changes, the country continues to face challenges related to its aging population and the economic pressures of supporting a large number of elderly citizens. China's experience highlights the complexities of implementing strict population control measures and the need for policies that adapt to changing circumstances. Both India and China are also grappling with the environmental and economic impacts of overpopulation. Rapid urbanization has led to overcrowded cities, strained infrastructure, and increased pollution. In India, cities like Mumbai and Delhi are struggling to provide adequate housing, clean water, and transportation for their growing populations. Similarly, China's megacities such as Beijing and Shanghai face significant challenges in managing air pollution and waste. Both countries are investing in sustainable urban planning and renewable energy to mitigate these issues, but progress has been uneven. Despite their challenges, both nations have also seen successes in addressing overpopulation. India's focus on education and healthcare has led to significant improvements in quality of life, while China's investments in technology and infrastructure have transformed its economy. These successes demonstrate that while overpopulation is a complex issue, it is not insurmountable. By learning from the experiences of India and China, other countries can develop more effective strategies for managing population growth and ensuring a sustainable future. As we move forward, the next section will explore the rapid population growth in Africa and its implications for the continent and the world, shedding light on another critical aspect of the global overpopulation challenge. Now turning to Africa, we see a continent experiencing one of the most dramatic population booms in history. By 2050, Africa is projected to be home to nearly 2.5 billion people, making up more than 1/4 of the global population. This rapid growth presents both opportunities and challenges, as the continent grapples with the need to provide for its people while managing limited resources and infrastructure. One of the most pressing challenges is urbanization. Cities across Africa are growing at an unprecedented rate, with many already struggling to keep up with the demand for housing, transportation, and basic services. Lagos, Nigeria, for example, is one of the fastest-growing cities in the world, with a population that could exceed 30 million by 2050. This rapid urbanization has led to overcrowded slums, inadequate sanitation, and strained public services, creating a cycle of poverty and inequality that is difficult to break. Resource management is another critical issue. Africa is rich in natural resources, but the growing population is putting immense pressure on water, food, and energy supplies. Many regions are already facing water scarcity, with climate change exacerbating the problem. In countries like Ethiopia and Kenya, prolonged droughts have led to food shortages and displacement, highlighting the urgent need for sustainable resource management. At the same time, the continent's energy demand is skyrocketing, with millions still lacking access to electricity. While renewable energy projects such as solar and wind farms are gaining traction, scaling these solutions to meet the needs of a rapidly growing population remains a significant challenge. Economic development is also a key concern. While Africa's young and growing population could be a tremendous asset, creating a demographic dividend, this potential can only be realized if there are enough jobs and opportunities for the next generation. Currently, many African countries face high unemployment rates, particularly among young people, which can lead to social unrest and instability. To address this, governments and international organizations are investing in education, skills training, and entrepreneurship programs. However, progress is uneven, and much more needs to be done to ensure that Africa's youth can contribute to and benefit from economic growth. Despite these challenges, there are reasons for optimism. Africa is home to some of the world's fastest-growing economies, and technological innovation is transforming industries and creating new opportunities. Mobile technology, for example, has revolutionized banking and communication, empowering millions of people and driving economic growth. Additionally, regional cooperation and investment in infrastructure, such as the African Continental Free Trade Area, are helping to integrate economies and create new markets. As we look to the future, it is clear that Africa's population boom will have profound implications not only for the continent but for the entire world. The choices made today in terms of resource management, urban planning, and economic development will shape the lives of billions of people in the decades to come. By addressing these challenges with innovation, collaboration, and foresight, Africa has the potential to turn its population growth into a source of strength and prosperity. With this in mind, the next section will explore future scenarios, painting a picture of what the world might look like in 2050 under different circumstances, and how we can work toward a more sustainable and equitable future. Now turning to the future, let's explore what the world might look like in 2050 under different scenarios. On one hand, we have an optimistic vision where technology, innovation, and effective policies come together to successfully manage overpopulation. In this scenario, advancements in renewable energy, such as solar and wind power, have drastically reduced our reliance on fossil fuels, leading to a cleaner and more sustainable planet. Smart cities, powered by artificial intelligence and automation, have optimized resource use, reducing waste and improving the quality of life for billions. Vertical farming and lab-grown meat have revolutionized food production, ensuring that everyone has access to nutritious meals without further straining the environment. Global cooperation has also strengthened, with nations working together to address migration, resource distribution, and climate change, creating a more equitable and peaceful world. On the other hand, there is a more dystopian scenario where the challenges of overpopulation are not adequately addressed. In this future, unchecked population growth has led to severe resource shortages, with water and food becoming increasingly scarce. Urban centers are overcrowded and polluted, with millions living in slums and struggling to access basic services. Climate change has worsened, causing more frequent and intense natural disasters, displacing millions and fueling conflicts over dwindling resources. Economic inequality has reached unprecedented levels, with a small elite controlling most of the wealth while the majority struggle to survive. In this world, social tensions are high and political instability is rampant, making it difficult to implement solutions or foster cooperation. These two scenarios highlight the critical importance of the choices we make today. By investing in sustainable technologies, implementing effective policies, and fostering global collaboration, we can steer toward the optimistic future. However, if we fail to act decisively, the dystopian scenario could become our reality. The next section will delve into individual actions and responsibilities, exploring how each of us can contribute to shaping a better future for generations to come. Now turning to the role of individuals, it's clear that addressing overpopulation isn't just a task for governments and organizations. It's something each of us can contribute to in meaningful ways. One of the most impactful steps we can take is adopting sustainable living practices. This means being mindful of our consumption, reducing waste, and choosing eco-friendly products. Simple actions like conserving water, reducing energy use, and supporting local, sustainable agriculture can collectively make a significant difference. By making these choices, we not only reduce our environmental footprint but also set an example for others to follow. Another critical area is family planning. Access to education and reproductive health services empowers individuals to make informed decisions about family size, which can help stabilize population growth. Supporting policies and initiatives that promote family planning, especially in regions with high birth rates, is essential. This includes advocating for gender equality, as studies show that when women have access to education and economic opportunities, birth rates tend to decline naturally. By championing these causes, we can help create a world where population growth is balanced and sustainable. Supporting policies that promote resource conservation and population management is another way individuals can make a difference. This could involve voting for leaders who prioritize environmental sustainability, participating in community initiatives, or even raising awareness about overpopulation through social media and conversations. Every voice matters, and collective action can drive the changes needed to address this global challenge. Finally, it's important to recognize that our daily choices have ripple effects. From the food we eat to the products we buy, each decision shapes the demand for resources and influences the world around us. By embracing a mindset of responsibility and sustainability, we can contribute to a future where overpopulation is managed effectively, ensuring a better quality of life for everyone. As we move forward, let's explore how these individual actions fit into the broader picture of global cooperation and governance, and how together we can create a more balanced and equitable world. Now, turning to the conclusion of our discussion, let's take a moment to reflect on the key points we've explored. Overpopulation is not just a distant concern, it's a pressing issue that will shape the world in the year 2050 and beyond. From the strain on resources like food, water, and energy to the challenges of urbanization, healthcare, and environmental degradation, the impacts of a growing population are far-reaching and interconnected. We've seen how technology, policy, and individual actions all play a role in addressing these challenges, but the urgency to act cannot be overstated. The choices we make today, whether as individuals, communities, or nations, will determine the kind of future we leave for generations to come. Sustainable living, family planning, and supporting policies that promote resource conservation are not just options, they are necessities. By working together, we can create a world where population growth is balanced, resources are managed wisely, and everyone has access to a better quality of life. As we wrap up, I want to leave you with a call to action. Think critically about your role in shaping the future. What steps can you take to contribute to a more sustainable and equitable world? Whether it's adopting eco-friendly habits, advocating for policies that promote population management, or simply raising awareness about this critical issue, every effort counts. Share your thoughts in the comments below, engage in discussions, and take part in initiatives that aim to solve this global challenge. Together, we can make a difference. If you found this video insightful, don't forget to like, subscribe, and hit the notification bell to stay updated on more content like this. Let's continue this important conversation and work toward a brighter, more balanced future. Thank you for watching, and I'll see you in the next video.